Welcome to the Tiffany Micah podcast. What we do here is build the strength and courage in you to accomplish your big dreams and goals in your sport. No longer will you feel limited. You won't feel you're not good enough. You won't question whether you will make it. Those doubts will disappear because you will have the competitive edge over your opponents and leave them in your wake. And the bonus is others will notice. Listen up and take notes because I will show you exactly how to do it. Hey there, this is Tiff and welcome to the Tiffany Micah podcast. Here we have this week's lessons learned. I haven't actually done that much this year, simply because I've introduced GPS week for you, so a goal setting masterclass for you. We looked at Novak Djokovic, what his lessons learned, and so that how we can improve and so on. So there's been a lot actually going on. I'm getting ready to launch the Get Focused program, so that'll be coming out next week. So you'll be able to come and register for that. That's a 12-week program that I'm looking forward to working with you. So it'll be a live coaching program. So make sure you register for that as soon as that becomes available. But for now, what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to be looking at lessons learned for this week. So our lesson learned for this week is actually to ask better questions. So this is a simple thing to say, isn't it? Ask better questions. Because when you ask better questions, you get better answers, don't you? So if I say to you, okay, ask yourself questions, then you are going to get answers. However, it's the type of questions that you ask that will give you the answers that you are looking for. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to give you an example. So if you ask a question like you're playing a sport and you say, well, why do I never get picked to play for the team? Like you're always on the bench. Your mind will go and look for the answers because it's the type of question that you've asked. Why do I never get picked to play for the team? Well, you're just not good enough. You're hopeless. Your coach has their favourites. They're not going to pick you because you're not one of the favourites. And so on, right? Your mind's looking for answers to answer that specific question that you asked. Or here's another example. Why am I overweight? Why am I carrying, why am I so much heavier? So your mind, again, goes looking for answers because you eat too much, because you're lazy, because you're slack, because you can't be bothered to look after yourself, right? Looks for answers. But it gives you those answers because those are the questions that you've asked. So then when you get yourself into this state of mind, which is not a good state of mind, is it? It's a negative state of mind. Guess what starts to happen? Your performance level will drop. You will lack motivation. You won't work hard anymore. And then you'll justify all of that in your head because we have heaps of conversations with ourselves, don't we? We're always talking to ourselves. But you'll justify it. You'll justify it in your head because you'll go, see, I told you. I told you you're lazy. I told you you're hopeless. I told you you suck. I told you you're not good enough. I told you you're fat. And then what happens from that? You become disgusted with yourself and it goes on and on, doesn't it? Now, all of this conversation that went on was because you asked one question, wasn't it? Why don't I get picked for the team? Or why am I overweight? And all of a sudden there's this whole conversation that's going on in your head. But what I want you to think about is it's the type of questions that you've actually asked, isn't it? So remember how I spoke about the thoughts, feelings, and actions. So I spoke about that in a previous episode. I've also written about that in my book, Focus, How to Reach Your Potential in Sport, Business and Life. So if you haven't got a copy of that, make sure you get a copy though. But in my book, I talk about if we're speaking to ourselves in that way, our thoughts, which is the questions that we're asking ourselves, and they're negative questions, then the feelings that come up is that we're feeling very emotional, aren't we? We're feeling negative. We're feeling really down on ourselves. So what happens with the actions that we then take? Motivation slips. We're not doing the activities that we were doing before. We're not training hard anymore. We're not showing up to practice. We're sleeping in. Then what happens from that? What's the results? Don't get picked for the team. Or you put on extra weight. And the extra weight that your body really doesn't need. Because of the thought of the negative thought, the feeling down and negative about yourself, the actions, you stop doing the work, right? The results, you don't get picked. Well, there you go. So how do we stop this? How do we stop this from actually happening? And it's quite easy. Ask better questions. Now, I heard this years and years ago, ask better questions. But at that time, I wasn't open to that. Oh, what do you mean ask better questions? What does that actually mean? Well, what that actually means is instead of asking, why don't I get picked for the team? Why don't you ask the question, what do I need to do to get picked for the team? Or who can I speak to that will help me get picked in the team? Or who can I speak to that I can improve my game? Doesn't that sound better than why am I not getting picked for the team? Or instead of asking the question, why am I overweight? Why don't you ask the question of, well, what foods will benefit me so I'm vibrant and full of energy? Or who could I speak to who could help me improve my eating regime? Or how can I improve my eating regime? When you ask better questions, what happens? You get better answers. Very, very simple. So if you ask this question of, what do I need to do to get picked into the team? Your mind starts coming up with answers for it, doesn't it? Go and ask your coach for feedback. Find out what is missing in your game. What drills should you be working on? What else can you do? Who can you speak to? Sign up for TIFF's Get Focused program. Go and do TIFF's Successful Athlete Masterclass free training program. Right? You start looking for better answers because you've asked better questions. Just like the question, why am I overweight? Again, ask better questions. Who could I speak to who could help me improve my eating regime? I could speak to my doctor. I could speak to a nutritionist. I could do some research on what foods are going to benefit my body. I could do an evaluation and actually track what foods I'm actually eating at the moment. Can you see that? Can you see how asking better questions are actually going to give you better answers? Of course you can. So that is the lesson that we've learned for this week, isn't it? Ask better questions, because if you ask better questions, you get better answers. Now, if you're struggling in your sport, if you're not getting picked to play on game day, if you are constantly benched throughout the season, yet you are working your butt off in practice, if you finally get picked to play in the team, or you finally get qualified to play in a tournament, and you don't play well, you miss your shots you shouldn't miss, and you struggle with staying motivated because the hard work's not yet paying off, then this is what you actually need to do. You need to go and sign up for the free training, the Successful Athlete Masterclass. I've set it up for you. Because what we do here is we identify what's holding you back from getting the results that you work so hard for. We work on how to create more wins in your sport, and we show you step by step how to make that happen. Okay, step by step. It's free. It's free training. You get to see me in front of a video camera talking to you, showing you step by step what you need to be doing so that you become that successful athlete you want to become. Okay, so go Put your name and email address in to the Successful Athlete Masterclass. Go to tiffanymica.com/Sam, SAM, and I look forward to seeing you there. So I want you to dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams, go and sign up right now for the Successful Athlete Masterclass, tiffanymica.com/Sam. I look forward to seeing you there. Take care. Bye for now.